Is it my birthday? Because it doesn't look like October. It actually looks like the middle of summer, but I just got to play with the Viltrox 85mm 1.4, and now look at this. I get to play with another 85, the Sirui 85mm Aurora f1.4, and I'm excited because the 85mm focal length is my favorite walk around kind of street photography lens. I love it for portraits. I like it for normal shooting. I like shooting on the street outside where I have a little bit more room to get further back with this focal length. I just think it's a great way to shoot. Now, to be fair, this lens is not new. It's been out since the end of 2024, but better late than never. I mean, playing with the Viltrox 85mm Pro 1.4 inspired me to then try this one out as well. And you know what? It's a good thing too, because the Viltrox, as much as I love it, is still currently only available for Sony E mount, whereas this, you can get this in E mount, L mount, Z mount. You can even get it in Fujifilm X mount. And so I'm really excited to play with this and see how it stacks up to the competition. And the Sirui Aurora 85mm 1.4 also happens to be a fantastic price. Is it too good to be true, or are there some compromises? We're going to find that out today. I'm Chris Niccolls, and this is PetaPixel. So you might think that the key feature to this lens is that f1.4 aperture, which I do love. I mean, it's great, not only for shallow depth of field, but for shooting in low light situations. But f1.4 85mm are pretty common. What actually really stands out to me about this lens is the body design, how lightweight it is, and how many features they still kept in it. You see, what I really like about this lens is, at least in Sony E mount, it only weighs 540 grams, quarter of a knocked. And if you compare that even to the Sony G Master version 2, which I thought was the lightest around, that's like around 650 grams. And then you compare it to the Viltrox 85mm 1.4 Pro, that puppy's 800 grams roughly. So that really gets pretty heavy in comparison. So for walking around, this is lightweight. It's also quite small physically, but Sirui didn't spare any expense as far as features go, even though it is a very affordable lens. We got a nice lens hood here, plastic bayonet, but it does have a rubber ring around it, so you get a nice feel to it. 67mm filter threads here on the front, decent manual focus ring here, but I also get an autofocus manual focus selector switch, a custom button, the option to de-click the aperture, and it does have a real aperture ring, and on top of that, this is all fully weather sealed. Jordan insisted that I do this next talking spot on a tire swing. I guess he likes swinging. It's fun. And, you know, I thought, well, why not talk about autofocus then at this point? Now, one of the places where Sirui has saved some money is by going a little bit old school on the autofocusing motor. They're using a classic stepping motor, which is fine. I mean, the autofocus performance is still decent, but I definitely notice it's slower to even the Viltrox Pro and absolutely the Sony G Master. Oh, the transitions are so pretty. All right, so I've broken out the flash kit here because, you know, like, this is a great lens for street. I love it for that, but also for portraits. A lot of people are going to use this for studio portraits, but our studio's outside today. We got really flat light, no directionality, so I'm going to use this Westcott FJ200 flash, and I'm standing where I want to put Jordan. You know, lots of the times we'll shoot studio portraits at f5.6 or f8. You're trying to maximize depth of field and sharpness, but I specifically want to utilize this Aurora lens for its wide open performance. I'm going to shoot this at f2. I've crammed like 4 stops of ND on here to equal out the exposure. This FJ200 has no problem exposing through that 4-stop ND with plenty of power to spare. And what I'm going to use is this cool plant. We have these growing all over the fences here in Calgary, and this is going to be my studio backdrop. I'm going to have foreground elements, background elements. Jordan's going to be standing right here. I think it's going to work out really well. Let's give it a shot. Yes, there you go. That's it. Just like, no smiling, no forlorn. Chin down. Yes. All right, so as you can see here, we've got Jordan with his forlorn look. He's got beautiful eyes, and the f2 aperture really draws attention to that while letting everything else go soft in the background. And that's one of the things I really like about this Aurora. That bokeh just looks really smooth as it transitions from in focus to out of focus. So I'm really happy with that. And this is a great kit to take anywhere. I'm just on the street. It's super portable. The Westcott FJ200, the light coming through this little rapid box switch Octa S takes seconds to set up, and you can see it gives Jordan a nice catch light in those eyes of his and just a nice directionality so we get a little bit of shadow on the far side of his face. If you want to get a similar setup to do street portraits like this out anywhere, it's all battery powered. Check out fjwestcott.com, or please click the link in the description below and that'll take you right to this gear. I definitely think you'll appreciate this kit as much as I do. This is why Westcott is PetaPixel's preferred lighting gear partner. So I love 85mm 1.4s because you get that shallow depth of field, and bokeh becomes a really big part of the lens. And we actually get very different looking bokeh as we go from brand to brand. And where the Viltrox seem to have a lot of character, a bit more of a swirly look, this thing is clean, clean, clean. So specular highlights here, very clean. No onion rings that I'm seeing, like not even much soap bubble effect. It's very clean with a 15 blade aperture. It's also incredibly round when we stop the lens down. As you can see here in the corners at f1.4, we're getting a little bit of a cat's eye effect. That largely goes away as you start to stop down the lens. And like the transitions from in focus to out of focus are just really nice and smooth. Backgrounds are soft color. They're not really distracting. You know, this is the kind of look that you normally get on something like the Sony G Master series of lenses. And it normally takes a lot of money to get that look. So whatever Sirui is doing here, they're doing a good job of it. Did I mention the bokeh looks clean? Longitudinal chromatic aberration. That's where you get color fringing in the foreground and background out of focus areas. It's a real pain to get rid of in post. And if you do notice it in a wide aperture lens, it can be a problem, especially when you're shooting things with high contrast like text or shiny surfaces. Now the Sirui happens to be a very wide aperture lens. That's why we want to test for LoCA. And we are seeing a little bit here. I mean, if you look and zoom in, you can see a bit of that blue-yellow split. It's actually not too bad though. This is a pretty average to minor result as far as LoCA goes. So in most situations, I don't think it's gonna be a problem for you. So this bright sunlight is inspiring me to talk about flare next on this Sirui lens. And to be honest, this is a weak point of this lens. So as you can see here, when we shoot wide open, we are getting a fair amount of flare. It's a little bit washed out. We're losing some contrast, but we're also seeing some ghosting at f1.4. And then when I stop down the lens, even to a moderate amount, you can see the ghosting gets pretty distracting. You really notice it here. We're losing some of the washed out flare, but that ghosting is gonna draw the eye for sure. Is the Sirui sharp? Let's take a look at our test charts here. 85mm shooting, f1.4 in the center. So you can see here, good detail. I'm very happy with this at 1.4, good result. When you stop down the lens, it does get a little bit better, a little bit more contrast, slightly more sharpness, but it's already pretty good wide open. Same story in the corners. I'm actually really liking the corners here. Good sharpness at f1.4. Stopping down the lens does help a little bit with vignetting and contrast and sharpness, but overall, this lens does a good job shooting wide open. If you can afford to stop down to f2 or 2.8 for the occasional shot to get maximum sharpness, that's a good method to use. Look at this tank. Look at this absolute hog, this brown trout with no dorsal fin. You know, it's out of the water right now, so it's having a hard time breathing, but you know what's having a really easy time breathing? This lens. So breathing is where your field of view changes, you focus from near to far and back again, and it can be quite distracting if you're pulling focus. And as you can see here, the Sirui 85mm does have a fair bit of breathing. You can see that field of view changing. Again, I mean, you know, if you're doing photography and stuff, it's not gonna be as big a deal, but if it's gonna be video related and you like pulling focus, keep an eye out for that. So I'm always happy when I get to play with a brand new 85mm lens. I've had a really nice time with the Aurora here, and I mean, there's a lot to like. I mean, first off, the build quality overall, you know, not skimping on any handling features. The fact that it's so lightweight and portable, I mean, the fact that it's lighter than the Sony G Master really impressed me, and it's significantly lighter than the Viltrox. It makes it really easy to travel with and walk around with, and I think only the Samyang comes down a little bit less than this in weight, so that's been really impressive. But also the image quality, especially when you consider how affordable this lens is. You can get this right now for roughly $600, but the street price right now is actually less than that. That makes this insanely affordable. This has actually a lot of appeal for many different users across many different brands. I mean, if you're a Fujifilm user, you might be like, why would I put this full frame lens onto an APS-C body? But it could be a really nice replacement for the 90mm f2. And honestly, it's not that much bigger and heavier because it is so compact in its design. If you're looking at L mount, this is going to compete directly against the Sigma Art. And I think optically, it performs very nicely, very similar to it, especially in terms of sharpness and bokeh, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So that's going to have a lot of appeal. Nikon Z mount, this is going to be an awesome option as well to definitely save money compared to the Nikkor lenses. And then if you look at this on E mount, I mean, the G Master, okay, yes, it's an amazing lens. It's going to be the best in all regards, but it's also incredibly expensive. Where this is going to really compete is against the Viltrox Pro 85mm 1.4. In that regard, I'd say the Viltrox maybe has just slightly better sharpness at f1.4, though it's almost imperceptible. What I would really say is when it comes down to the bokeh, I mean, the Viltrox has interesting bokeh. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to work with. It's swirly, it's fun, but it can look a little bit harsher. This straight up has G Master vibes when it comes to bokeh. I'm not sure how they're doing it for such a low price, but there are some issues and hangups you really got to watch for. Certainly flare, that's going to be really polarizing. I mean, some people like to do backlit portraits where you're getting all sorts of flare, washed out areas, but honestly, I find it a little bit excessive and the ghosting is really distracting. And then autofocus performance. I mean, for street stuff like today, it hasn't really been too much of a detriment, but if you want the absolute fastest and most precise autofocus right away, this is not the lens to look for. I think the Viltrox does a better job, and certainly the G Master absolutely dominates here. But hopefully this video has helped you guys decide if the look and results on this lens are right for you, and absolutely the price, you just cannot compete with that. It's a fantastic deal. So hooray for Sirui. Let us know in the comments what you think about this lens. You know, if you have any questions, we'd love to answer that. We try to get to those on the PetaPixel podcast. We hope you're watching that or listening to that. It's on all your favorite podcasting apps, or you can watch it right on this same channel. And the comments you leave, we like to answer on that show. As well, do check out a PetaPixel.com membership. You get to peruse the website without any ads getting in the way. You get big discounts on the merch store. It'll pay for itself before you even know it. $3 a month, $30 a year. You even get access to the sample galleries, JPEGs and RAW files, including this lens, so you can look at those and evaluate them for yourself. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.